Hey everyone, thanks. Welcome to our video series, Canal Days, and thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Churches of Springfield, Massachusetts. I'm your host, Carrie, here with my co-host, local historian and founder of the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Comu. As your personal tour guide, Robert will lead you through some of the most iconic sites and their legends of historic significance throughout New England's preeminent and pivotal state of Massachusetts. With his expert insights, every monument and memorial story comes to life. Afterwards, don't forget to check out his website, holyokecanaltour.org, to access the full Canal Days video and podcast series. Also, check out his free in-person public tours he offers throughout Western Mass and the 2025 schedule for these special events. You can also book personalized private tours for groups of all sizes tailored to your interests. To discover all that and much more, remember to log on to holyokecanaltour.org. Get ready to be transported back in time on an unforgettable adventure. So, Robert, what are some of the predecessing churches within Springfield? Catholic.
Well, St. Michael's Cathedral is a very old one, but it's not. It might be the oldest Catholic church left in Springfield, but it's not the oldest one. There was two older ones. One of those older ones was the St. Benedict's church, but even older than that was the St. Matthew's church, which was in Springfield, but if it was still there, would now be in Chicopee. Now, some of the nicer these old ones, of course, count in the Sacred Heart Church on Chestnut Street, which is an offspring of St. Michael's, made in 1874. Very different looking kind of churches are the St. Thomas Aquinas Church, which was made to look like the mission-style churches in Quebec province. Now, I think I counted up 22 Catholic churches existed inside of Springfield at one time. Several are gone, but some are still here. And so catch out other ones, kind of St. Joseph's Church and St. Aloysius, but other ones are still here around, like Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, Our Lady of the Mount Carmel, and the old St. Souls Church. So check those out.
And also, can you depict a few of the more established Protestant churches?
Well, in terms of Protestants, there are several denominations that are very strong around. I think I've counted up to almost 80 different Protestant churches existed at one time in Springfield. Several are still around. They're better looking ones on the congregationals. I like the North and South congregational churches. The North Congregational Church was made by Henry Hobson Richardson, and it's very beautiful. It still is. It's very close to the St. Michael's Cathedral area, so check that one out. And there's a lot of other cool ones like the Park Congregational Church. That one, it is now gone. So check out its old look. Now, in terms of the Baptist Church, there's several nice Baptist churches, like the Park Memorial Baptist Church is one of my favorites. It's in a neighborhood of homes, and all of a sudden you meet this gorgeous little church. And also there's several of them around the area, so check all of them out for yourself, including the Springfield Third Baptist Church. All right, in terms of Episcopal, well, the Episcopals have their cathedral here, and so check that one out. That's the Christ Church Cathedral, very close to St. Michael's Cathedral, one of 4 cathedrals inside of Springfield. And then it has some really quaint ones, like the First Swedish Methodist Episcopal Church, still there, has a really different look to it, and even though it's not in the greatest shape, but it has a nice peculiar look. And the Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church also has a really cool look to it. And then there's a whole bunch of other ones that fall outside that category, like the St. George Orthodox Greek Church, which is a cathedral on its own, one of the 4 in Springfield. And then, of course, the Trinity Lutheran Church.
And then also, can you list some of the senior Jewish temples?
All right, now there's several of those around Springfield, of course, and Some of the nicer ones are like the Kessler Israel and the Kodomo. And then but Jacob had a very cool look to it, and I think it's now modernized. So they left their old location and went to a new location themselves. But I believe there were 8, or at one time there were 8 synagogues around Springfield. Some of them have moved or gone away. So what we want to do now is go out to the Sacred Heart Church, because this is my favorite church in Springfield. We'll walk around it to show it off. All right, we'll go around this rectory area too. And this one used to have a school associated with it. In fact, the old school was taken out, then a new one was put in, and that one was taken out too. And then it had a convent, then it had an old convent, and that one was put over with the new convent. Then it had an old rectory, and then they bought this old house, Victorian Second Empire house, and turned it into their rectory. And this is the epitome of gorgeous churches in Springfield in my mind, whether you're talking about the Jewish temples, Protestant churches, or Catholic churches. This one has the nicest look to it. It's made out of long metal brownstone and has a slate roof. It was made in 1874, and James McDermott was the founder and the first pastor. He is also buried alongside the church. And you can tell by the very gorgeous look on it why it is the very nicest looking church in Springfield. It's even nicer looking than the church that it sprang out of, St. Michael's Cathedral. And the best part, of course, the front is quite gorgeous. Right, it has 2 beautiful towers. They took a long time to finish off. And they have a cornerstone over here, 1888, but it took till much later to finish off the towers, like into the 1890s. And I've crossed the street now, so you can get a better look. The metallic tops of the towers were put on much later, in fact, in the recent decades. And because it was so gorgeous and this brown stone and look, and because it was a fairly complete campus, then it gets my top vote on the best church in Springfield. All right, thank you very much.